How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Tales from the Darkside, Season 1, Episode 13, and this one's entitled In the Cards. This is from January 27th, 1985, directed by Ted Gershny, starring Dorthy Lyman, and the teleplay is actually written by this episode's director, Ted Gershny, based on a story by Carole Lucia Satrina. Sorry if I mispronounced that name. And yeah, this story is about a fortune teller who's kind of a fraud, but one day she gets a pack of cursed playing cards, cursed tarot cards, and these cards give undeniable readings of doom. You know, whoever gets a reading, they find out something terrible is going to happen, and this starts to drive the fortune teller mad, and she has to find a way to stop the cards. Overall, lots of classic horror movie elements in here. A cursed object, a sense of doom, the non-believer coming face to face with undeniable truth. Really, lots of classic horror movie elements, and you gotta like that. Also, we're breaking the comedy horror chain. The last 3 episodes were all comedy horror, and don't get me wrong, I thought the comedy was pretty fun. You know, you gotta love comedy horror, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad we're getting back into classic horror now, so it was really good to get back into just scary stuff, you know? Now, that being said, this isn't the best episode ever. It's by no means a bad episode, but it's one of those that I'm like, I wish it had more time to get more developed and build on more ideas. It's a really good, standard, classic horror story, but nothing super special and not super big. And I feel that if this episode had an hour time block, or even if this was a whole movie, it could have really developed these ideas a lot better, but just being that half-hour time block, it really could have had a lot more going on if it had more time. For example, we only get like 2 or 3 readings in this episode, and they're good enough readings, but it's not like, you know, you don't get the sense that this is going to drive someone mad with only a couple readings. And also, we don't really get to find out too much about the why of this, you know? You do get an explanation for the cards themselves, but what I really want to know is, was all this stuff going to happen anyway? Are the cards making her see the ugly truth? You know, is that what they're doing? Or are the cards themselves causing the bad things to happen? You know, I really wish you got more of an explanation onto that, you know? If she gives someone a reading, is she dooming them, or is she just showing them the ugly truth? And I really would have liked to know that. Also, and I won't spoil what it is, but the ending of this episode, the main character really does mess up. She needs someone, a certain type of person, and the person that she finds is definitely not that person. Also, she has to do something when she meets them, and she does it way too soon. You're like, no, you're supposed to do that at the end, not at the beginning. And, yeah, the main character kind of messes up pretty bad. And, you know, that probably is the whole point, but at the same time, you're like, no, not her, not her. So, yeah, that's about all I can talk about that ending without going into spoilers, but yeah, a little bit frustrating there. But without further ado, let's go ahead and analyze the episode. I'm going to dive into the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, so I'll be avoiding the end bits, but I do want to, you know, take a moment and analyze this a little further. We open up with the fortune teller. She's professional. She has a good business going. She's buying ad space. She knows what she's doing, and she can read the cards. She understands it. She knows how to do it. But she doesn't believe in it. Instead of giving people honest readings, she says, hey, I don't believe in this, I know how to do it, let's give people what they want to hear, let's give people happy messages, And then that way they can leave and go about their day with a sort of sense of optimism, you know? Overall, best intentions, right? Well, she gets her first customer, and the customer gets her happy reading, and then when she's not looking, the customer switches out her deck of cards with a different deck of cards, and we don't know why she did this till much later, but her next customer, a young girl, comes in, and she does the tarot card reading, and she sees something strange and undeniable in the cards. In particular, this one card, the Knight of Swords, which will be the card that's kind of coming in and giving the people their doom, you know? And major props for Tales from the Darkside for not just doing death again. You know, it's like, okay, we want to pick a different card. The Knight of Swords, the Dark Knight. He comes in, you hear a swooshing sound effect. He's going to metaphorically cut people down, you know? So, yeah, the Knight character, if you don't want to do death, because everybody does death, that's a good character. So she sees him in the cards, and she wants to give this girl a positive, you know, happy reading, but she just can't ignore it this time, and she says, the cards say your boyfriend's going to die, and the girl goes, well, he's waiting for me outside on the street. And that's when we hear the car screech, some lights, you know, this is Tales from the Darkside, pretty notoriously low budget. They're not going to actually have a stunt or wreck a car, but this is the low budget way of doing it. You hear it from inside the shop, and the girl's boyfriend died, just like in the cards, you know? And then she gets another client later, this really nice old man, and she sees something bad in there, and he goes, apparently he knows a bunch about the cards, and he goes, look, I appreciate you giving me all these nice and happy readings, but sometimes bad news is just bad news, and it's gonna be there. And he leaves the shop kind of contented, and she couldn't hide it from him. So I do like that this is a different way. You know, it's not just the same, you know, girl who gets the bad news and freaks out. They're kind of doing it in a different way, and the second guy was a very interesting, you know, candidate to get his bad news. But of course, after this, she tries to destroy the cards. She tries to throw them away, and then someone's like, you didn't throw them away, they're on the table right there. She tries to light them on fire, and they won't burn. At one point, she leaves, and someone goes, oh, don't forget your cards. And by this point, she just reaches in her pocket and goes, yeah, they're right here. And they weren't in there earlier, they just traveled to her pocket, because she can't get rid of them. Very, very classic object, you know. Classic haunted objects, your books, your dolls. You can't burn them, you can't throw them away, you can't destroy them. Very, very classic haunted object stuff, you know. So she has to eventually figure out where these cards came from and how do I stop them. And she has to figure out what to do to get out of this whole scenario. Overall, a good classic story. You know, you get tarot cards as elements in stories before. Usually there's like a creepy tarot card scene, but with this episode, the whole episode is about the cards, and I do like that they were given their time to shine, and it's a very classic, scary story, you know. Lots of these elements you have seen in other places, and that's because they do work. Now, I wish it had more time. I wish we got to go through a whole bunch more readings, and I wish we got more into what exactly was happening. Were these events always destined to happen, or is the cards doing it? You know, and if you have more time and more budget, maybe we could literally see the Knight of Swords as like an apparition. That would have been cool, but, you know, you can only do so much in a half-hour time block. Overall, I thought it was good. It's not the best thing ever. It's just a good little classic horror story, you know, and even if it's not big and crazy, and it's not gonna be like the highlight of the season, it's still a fun little classic story, and it's like, hey, that was pretty cool, you know? So, yeah, overall, I did like it, even if it wasn't the best thing. It's still good. Just wish it was longer. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see more, you can click right there and see more. This should be my Tales from the Darkside playlist. You can find my reviews for all the past episodes in there. I've reviewed the first 12 already. I've also reviewed the Christmas episodes a little early, and the Joe Hill comic book that was based on his pitch for the CW pilot that wasn't picked up. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Tales from the Darkside playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.